Good night. Welcome to Conversation with Rickford Burke. Yes, sorry about that. Good night. Welcome to Conversation with Rickford Burke. Share the link. You know the drill. Share the link. I'm happy to be with you. I decided I will not have any guests tonight because I wanted to talk about the issues that I've listed here alone. I don't want to get anybody else involved. I want to present my views and the views of the Caribbean Guyana Institute for Democracy very collusively. So share the link if you're watching me from Europe, North America, East Coast, West Coast, Caribbean, Guyana, Asia, Africa, wherever you're watching. See somebody already telling me they're watching me from Ghana. Welcome. Well, it should be good morning in Ghana right now, I think. But nevertheless, wherever you're watching me from, text me, let me know where you're watching from. And let's have a great show tonight. I hope everybody is doing well. Share the link, get into all your Guyanese groups, get into your Facebook Messenger groups, get on your emails, get on your text messaging, get on your WhatsApp messaging, share this thing, and we'll be... Again, welcome to Conversation with Rickford Burke. This is Rickford Burke in New York. As you know, the show is aired at 7 p.m. every Sunday night, 7 p.m. every Sunday night. And we try to do it twice during the week as well, depending on availability. So keep sharing the link, and because we want to get everybody involved in this conversation. Text me, let me know where you're watching from, and let me know what's going on in wherever you are. I hope that you guys are having a really great weekend. I want to talk to you today about the whole issue of the installed president of Guyana now changing his mind. He's a bit schizophrenic, according to Sherrod. He now says that he wants to have consultation with the opposition leader. Well, the Constitution mandates that whomever is sitting in the seat of the presidency of Guyana, and right now Irfaan is undoubtedly installed, albeit, but he's sitting in the seat of the presidency. And so the Constitution requires that whomever is occupying that seat consult with the opposition leader with regard to certain decisions. So whether it's the appointment of the Judicial Service Commission, there must be meaningful consultation with the opposition leader. Whether it's the Teacher Service Commission, meaningful opposition consultation with the opposition leader. Whether it's the Police Service Commission, or the Guyana Elections Commission, or the Race Relations Commission, or the Women's Commission, Women's Affairs Commission, or the Rights of the Child Commission, Human Rights Commission, whenever there's a commission, the Constitution requires consultation with the opposition leader. In some instances, when it comes to the appointment of certain public officials of the state of Guyana, the Constitution specifically requires the consent of the opposition leader. As well, when it comes to the Guyana Elections Commission, the opposition has 3 nominees on that commission, and then the chairman can only be appointed after meaningful consultation with the opposition leader, who has to provide 6 names, a list of 6 names, not unacceptable to the president for consideration for appointment as the chairman of the Elections Commission. So you see, the Constitution, even though some people berate it, has provisions for the preservation of democracy, has provisions for the exercise of internationally recognized democratic principles. And so when Irfaan got installed in government, he decided that because the opposition is not recognizing the legitimacy of the installed PPP regime, he's saying, I'm not going to fulfill my constitutional responsibilities. So that's the topic for our discussion, one of the topics for our discussion tonight. And I'm appalled that the ABC ambassadors, the private sector commission, and these so-called guardians of democracy, who are jumping up and down like peacocks during the recount that stemmed from the last elections, they're quiet now, very silent now, because we know all of these people were supporting, whether clandestinely or overtly, the People's Progressive Party. So now they're silent. Even the press, they are silent with regard to the violations, blatant violations of the Constitution by the Ali Jackdale regime. I also want to talk tonight about Sputnik, that Russian Sputnik V vaccine. In the United States, say that some people are referring to it as a junk vaccine. I don't think it's a junk vaccine because it has some value in apparently saving lives. We now understand that an allegation has been made by the intelligence services of the United States that that vaccine was developed after Russians allegedly stole vaccine formulas from some United States companies. But Guyanese are in a dilemma. The government acquired this Russian Sputnik V vaccine via very corrupt means. We know that, very corrupt means. Up to now, we don't know who got well, let me say, a gift. We don't know if somebody got a gift. Maybe Barjack there wants to answer that question. Who got a gift from that deal? Some people call it bribery. Some people call it, inducement. Somebody got something. It was a very corrupt deal. The government kind of didn't go directly to the manufacturers of the Sputnik V vaccine. They didn't go to the agents of the manufacturers or the sales representatives of the manufacturers. They went to a sheikh, who then got it from a Russian oligarch who was an oil tycoon, but who came out of the oil business. He's now in vaccine business. And we don't know if the thing that they placed in the arms of Guyanese is actually the actual Sputnik V vaccine that was manufactured by Russia. We don't know that because the government has not presented anything to the public certifying the authenticity of this vaccine. The second thing, we don't know if this vaccine or any vaccines in Guyana are stored as required by the manufacturers. We know some of these vaccines required very cold storage. It therefore means that the government would have had to acquire that facility They're not being transparent with the Guyanese people. Then they started forcing people to take the Sputnik. They started forcing people to take the Sputnik. Now I understand that some other vaccines, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and maybe Johnson & Johnson, might be available in Guyana. But the people who the thousands and thousands of Guyanese who they forced to take the Sputnik V vaccine are in a dilemma. They can't travel to certain countries, most countries in the world. Lots of countries recognize this Sputnik V vaccine, but they're like the Eastern European countries and some of these socialist countries that Russia has great relationships with. But some of our own Caribbean countries, the United States and Europe and Britain, don't recognize the Sputnik V vaccine. It has not been approved by the World Health Organization. It has not been approved by the FDA. So if you have the Sputnik V vaccine in Guyana and you require urgent travel to these countries, including the United States, you can't come as of this month. That's coming here, November, tomorrow. You cannot travel to the United States with Sputnik V vaccine. You're deemed to be unvaccinated. And you're in a dilemma because the government of Guyana is wasting time. They're not doing anything. They claim that they're waiting on medical science experts to advise them. When we know that the advice has already been out there from at least the CDC saying they must be revaccinated. They have to be revaccinated because this vaccine is not going to be recognized by the United States anytime soon. And my understanding, the WHO either. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do with our Guyanese? And why Guyanese are not outraged by this con game that the PP government has played on them, cocking them into taking this vaccine, forcing them into taking this vaccine, which is not recognized by the rest of the world, except Russia, countries Russia has influence over. Excuse me. So I want to discuss that. What are options for people? What about if you have a medical emergency or you have urgent business or some other emergency to travel to the United States? What's going to happen? We'll talk about that. So I want you to share the link. I also want to talk about the Caribbean countries, including Barbados. Barbados has been, the Prime Minister of Barbados has been very chummy with Irfaan and the PP government. When she knows and she hears all the reports of their racism, she's completely ignoring that. And to think that she is a person who talks as though she is Black conscious, talks about what the imperialists and the colonialists did. In fact, she's leading our government's departure from the monarchy. She is piloting her country away from the monarchy. Of course, Queen Elizabeth is the head of state of Barbados. And when Barbados celebrates its independence anniversary in November, I think it's November 30th, they will install a president and abandon Queen Elizabeth as the head of state. And Dame Sandra Mason, who's the current Governor General, she's currently the President-elect of Barbados. And Barbados becomes a republic as of November 30th this year. And Dame Sandra Mason, former diplomat, former magistrate, former peace court judge, she will become the first president of Barbados. So while Mia Mottley is championing the cause of Bajan's independence and becoming a republic and not following the commands of the British monarch, she's ignoring racism in Guyana. I'll talk about that. So when we get back, I'll talk about these 3 topics. Keep sharing the link. I'll be right back in 60 seconds. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Barbados Prime Minister. As I mentioned before, so the Barbados Prime Minister, I noticed she just signed some agreement with Anternationally for 6,000 Guyanese to be trained in the hospitality industry in Barbados. Fine, nothing wrong with that. And she's been all chummy with Irfaan. And like I said, she's been talking to the United Nations about Black issues, environmental issues, representing the people from the African diaspora and the injustices that they have faced. She's been talking about reparations. Well, of course, Irfaan doesn't know what that is. He doesn't even know what reparative justice is. He says reparations justice. So she has completely, and the rest of CARICOM have been completely ignoring the injustices by the PPP, the rancid racism of the PPP. And why is this? This is something we must analyze. Guyana is the mother, technically, one of the parents of CARICOM. CARICOM headquarters is in Guyana. And CARICOM and the heads of CARICOM have always been indifferent to the plight of Afro-Guyanese whenever the PPP is in power. And other persons who have been discriminated against by the PPP, East Indians and Amerindians, who don't support them. CARICOM has been indifferent to the plight of these people who face racial discrimination, recriminations, vengeance, vindictive attacks, marginalization. CARICOM has been indifferent. CARICOM leaders have been indifferent. Well, we know there are some racist leaders in CARICOM like Ralph Gonzalez, who treats his own Afro Vincent James like slaves. Like, so I'm trying to understand why, and we have to correct this. We have to change it. We have to change it. It's one of the things the CGID will take on. And I think it has to do with a lack of information, a lack of knowledge, ignorance on the part of these CARICOM heads. They don't understand what's going on in Guyana. Some of them don't care. But I think the majority of it is information. To me, Mia Mottley knows about PPP racism. She doesn't care. She doesn't care because the people who have criticized her are Black. She's like, let them suffer. I don't care. But there are enough Guyanese in Barbados to raise hell. And I want to call on those Guyanese in Barbados now to get organized. Get organized. Hit the airwave. Hit the radio stations. Demonstrate. Protest in front of her home and her office. Lara Court and her office in Bridgeton. Protest at government headquarters. Protest at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs if it's not at the government headquarters in Barbados. Get on TV talk shows. Write letters to the press. Inundate the press. Guyanese in Barbados form a Guyanese Bajans Against Racism in Guyana. Form an organization. Get organized. Confront the Barbados Prime Minister about her chumminess with racists in Guyana. And I want the people in Trinidad to do the same thing. Trinidad has a massive Guyanese population, and so does Antigua and Barbuda. March in front of Gadsden Brown's home and his office. March in front of Parliament in these countries. St. Vincent also has a large Guyanese population. Raise hell in the country. St. Kitts and Nevis has a large Guyanese population. Jamaica has a large Guyanese population. Lots of intellectuals work in Jamaica, teach at the university, work as professionals, students, lawyers. Lots of Guyanese lawyers are in Jamaica, doctors. All of these CARICOM countries, the Bahamas, thousands of Guyanese. Wake up, people. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Start to form Guyanese movements or a Guyanese movement against PPP racism and injustice and create awareness in the country. We have a very active diaspora in New York. I want to see the same thing in Miami and New Jersey, Newark. After New York, the largest Guyanese population in the United States is East Orange. Create hell in East Orange. Follow the Jewish pattern. They create hell everywhere for their country, Israel. Let us do the same thing. London, well, I know some people in London have been doing that. But hundreds of thousands of Guyanese live in the United States, kingdom. It is said that between the Caribbean, the United States, and Europe, 1.5 million Guyanese live there. We can make an impact. We can make an impact. Those in London, write to your MPs. Those in the United States, write to your Congress members and your senators, your US senators, and your congressmen and women. And in the Caribbean, do the same thing to your members of parliament. Each one of you in the Caribbean live in a constituency that has a member of parliament. Write to the member. Listen, it is time we start to bring in on unprecedented pressure, inundate these people. And those of you in Guyana, get active, get off of your butts and call for change. Let them lock you up. They can't lock up the whole country. But I wanted to focus on this, particularly in Barbados, because the Barbados Prime Minister makes it, to me, she goes out of her way to make a statement that she is in bed with the racist PUP government. And we're going to take her on. CGID is going to take her on. Don't worry, we're going to take her on again. But the people in Barbados must also take her on. So that's the challenge. That's the challenge. And I want to see Guyanese in the Caribbean get active. We can't just sit and pray, oh, God is going to take care of these people. Of course God will, but God will only take care of you if you take care of yourself and if you take the initiative to take care of yourself. So that's why God gives you common sense. That's why God gives you life and breath and opportunities and platforms. Make use of it. All right, so that's that. Let me move on now to Ali, Irfaan Ali, the installed president of Ghana. So since the PP came to power, see why I said I didn't want to guess tonight? I wanted to deal with these issues myself because I want to go and say somebody said something on Burke show. No, you must say Rickford Burke said. Rickford Burke said. So Ali, since he and Jagdev came to power, forget about Phillips. Phillips is a non-factor here. Doesn't have any power. Since Ali, and keep sharing this live. Everybody share this live. Share this link. Get into your Guyanese groups and share the link. You have to get the message out. Play your part in getting the message out. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't be selfish. So since the VP came back to power on August 2nd, 2020, and we know how they came to power. The Trump administration bullied David Grange out of office, and he took the bullying. And they came to power, and we all know what the recount produced, shows fraud all over the country. A pattern of fraud, a scheme to rig the elections. I still have more questions of why you can be in government and allow opposition to rig the elections, but those are separate issues that we must confront. We must confront because at the end of the day, politicians must understand that they account to the people. Their stewardship is to the people of Guyana. And I refuse to accept the fact that today, up to today, Mr. Granger cannot explain to his supporters what happened. But that's for a different show. That's for a different show. Because I am not prepared to accept that he will ride off into the sunset without explaining, without being accountable to the people. But that's for a different show. So, because of all the fraud that was uncovered, the coalition and other civic organizations rightly said this government was not legitimately elected. They were installed. And because the opposition leader maintains that position, Mr. Harmon, the PPP government said they will not fulfill their constitutional responsibility, which is to consult with the opposition leader before certain decisions are made. So the PPP announced from get-go that they will not respect the Constitution. And for the life of me, I don't know why the coalition hasn't flooded the courts with lawsuits. Because the PPP is acting like Trump, and we have to respond just so. So the people in Guyana, the lawyers, I think you guys should be flooding the courts with lawsuits. Sue them for everything. Sue them, sneeze, sue them. Pass gas, sue them. Sue them for everything. File so much lawsuits that government must be brought to halt. That's how you got to deal with these people. But Ali said, unless Harmon recognizes the legitimacy of his Barrett, Ali Barrett government, he will not fulfill his responsibilities under the Constitution. And we've blasted him for it. And we've blasted the ABC ambassadors, in particular the American ambassador, Sarah Ann Lynch, who suddenly something happened to her mouth. She had permanent dental issues. She can't talk. Because she's in bed with the PPP. So she's embarrassed to criticize them. She's not saying anything. She's quiet. She has a permanent speaking suppression disorder after the elections. But the government declared several times that they would not follow the Constitution. And you would remember that the ABC ambassadors and the others who represent the international community, Commonwealth, CARICOM, OAS, that despicable monster Bruce Golding, he's quiet. All of these people are not quiet. When they were saying that their only task was to ensure that the Constitution and the rule of law in Guyana was adhered to. You remember Sarah Lynch? All we're saying is follow the Constitution. She's quiet. She's quiet. She no longer thinks that the Constitution must be followed, because if she did, she would speak out. So we've had 1 whole year and 3 months where the PPP government refused to follow the Constitution. And we know that this day will come. We know that this day will come because you cannot govern without certain arms and institutions of the government functioning. So we know it would meet a head where they must consult with the opposition. As old people would say, the rubber guy hit the road at some time. So the rubber is now reaching the road or the rail. And they quickly realized that time is going. It's over a year, right? So they have to appoint all these commissions that have expired. And they can't do it without consulting with the opposition leader. And they know that the Caribbean Court of Justice ruled that the consultation must be meaningful. Can't write no letter no more and say, oh, this is consultation. I want to appoint a commission. What's your views? Okay, I consulted. No. Caribbean Court of Justice, in a matter brought by the PPP, said consultation must be meaningful. So meaningful, they said it must be, that they're saying even the government must participate in the discussion about who can be selected to be placed on the list that the opposition leader will submit to the president to be appointed as GCOM chair. So the opposition, so whoever is the opposition, the Caribbean Court of Justice ruled that you alone can't handle that responsibility in the search or the prerequisite process for that list to be submitted. The government also can participate in that. That's how we came up with Claudette Singh. Not a deceptive snake. So they refused over a year to meaningfully consult with the opposition. Now all these commissions have expired. And guess what? The Judicial Service Commission is what they're most interested in. Because the Judicial Service Commission is a commission that makes selection and advises on the appointment of magistrates and judges. So by and large, the president cannot appoint a judge without a Judicial Service Commission. And there are several vacancies in the judiciary, a lot. Again, the APNU coalition under Mr. Granger didn't fill all these vacancies. I guess he knows why. So now the PPP has the responsibility now, right, to fill these judicial service vacancies. And there's no Judicial Service Commission. They want to put their own Indian ethnic people there, you know, and those house slaves that support them, who they could, you know, control. And like I've always said, they're perfectly good, patriotic, post-racial persons who are not racist, who are East Indians, and in the other races that don't support the racist agenda of the PPP. They don't support injustice. So I want to make sure I always register that. So when we speak, we are not speaking in general and categorizing all East Indians as racist. We're talking about the PPP sycophants and the ardent support base who are inherently racist. So those are the people we're talking about. I'm seeing that my technical team is telling me we have a slight, keep sharing the link, a slight technical issue. We have to make a switch to something. So stand by, I'll be back in 30 seconds. Right, so we have it sorted out. I trust. So the PPP, we got it? Okay, good, you got it sorted out. So the PPP and our finale, they don't want to have any meeting. Now they want to appoint judges. So they're now saying, okay, we want to meet with the opposition leader. We think we could outsmart him. We want to meet with him, and we'll call that consultation, and we'll go ahead and appoint the Judicial Service Commission. Because they have a plan to make an Indian man chancellor of the judiciary. Share the link, everybody. Keep sharing the link. We got to spread this gospel, the gospel of the racist PPP. You have to spread it. The information must be disseminated to the world. So, I mean, Ali has been, I want Guyanese to listen carefully, keep sharing the link. Listen carefully, I see over 10,000 persons watching. Let's carry it up to 20,000. Everybody share the link to 30 or 20 or 30 other persons. Keep sharing this link, get it to all your Guyanese groups, share the link. Ali several times said he will not meet with the opposition leader until he recognizes the legitimacy of his government. Kaicho News, Demrar Wave, Slabrook News, all the media have been carrying his rumblings about not meeting with the opposition leader. Suddenly he wants to meet with the opposition leader. Why? There's a conspiracy to remove the black chancellor of the judiciary who's acting. They want to move Roxanne George because she has delivered some really good judgments in their favor. So, you know, we can keep her there. But you can't have two black people running judiciary. I heard that that's what one of them said in the PPP. Why we got two black people running the judiciary? So they want to now place Rishi Prasad, who is their judge, their man, on the Court of Appeal. Remember him? He has never ruled against the PPP yet. Throughout all the elections cases, that by loyal, yeah? Rishi Prasad, loyal. Every single vote was with the PPP. Now they want to reward him by making him chancellor, but I don't know they're going to do it. Because the judiciary is governed by the principle of seniority. Even though the president can appoint judges, and the president could skip seniority, but there's one roadblock. One. That is, the Constitution says the chancellor of the judiciary cannot be appointed without the consent of the opposition leader. And the chief justice cannot be appointed without the consent of the opposition leader. So guess what? The PPP has never, since it's been in government, since we had this constitutional change, the PPP has never appointed a chief justice or a chancellor. Never. Why? Because they know that the opposition would never agree for them to use race as a basis to appoint a chancellor. And that's what they will do. Get it? Keep sharing the link. Keep sharing this link. The PPP would never, I am saying this to you, the PPP would never appoint a black chancellor of the judiciary. Never. That's how they roll. Never. The opposition will do it. The APL coalition do it because they believe in merit rather than race. When I was growing up, you had a number of Indian judges. Appointed under the PNC government. Balanced. You check and see who the PPP is appointing. If it's not an Indian person, it's going to be a black person who believes in their political philosophy or agrees with them, or a Chinese like Yan Chan, corrupt, who believes in their party. One and two times they can slip in one and say, well, you know, this is going to look bad, man. We got to put an independent person on the judiciary. But for one independent they put there, they might put 20. Why? The 20 of their people, they want absolute dominance of the country. They like Trump. And I'm suffering from some allergies, so bear with me. They like Trump. Remember how Trump was cussing out all them judges and so on? Same thing PPP did. So we know that they have no interest in genuine, meaningful consultation with the opposition leader to appoint a chancellor. They are not even sophisticated, both in politics and intellect, to try to arrive at an agreement with the opposition. Okay. The Justice Cummins has X amount of years more to serve. Can we agree that we'll appoint her, but then on the condition that you will agree on somebody else when she retires, so that we can have a proper functioning judiciary with all of the constitutional officers in place to administer the judiciary? They're not even sophisticated enough to think like that. They're like, no, she black. She can't be head of judiciary under our government. That's what they're doing here. So if they consult with Harmon, and of course Harmon is not going to agree, of course Harmon will not agree for them to use race as a requirement for appointment to the office of chancellor. So they're going to say, well, there was no agreement, so we will proceed to appoint an acting chancellor. And they're going to put in their boy Richie. That's what they want to do. So tonight, I want to alert the Guyanese people not to accept that. And you notice they have been doing whatever they want to do because they don't care. They think they control the whole country. We in power. They only got one seat majority than the opposition in parliament, you know. I don't know if I keep reminding Guyanese, this PP government only got one seat. But they don't care, right? Because they have an agenda. And their agenda is complete ethnic dominance and ethnic supremacy. In America, we call it racial supremacy or white supremacy. They want to do Indian supremacy in Guyana. And like I said, there are lots of Indians in Guyana, thousands, who don't agree with that because they see it's destructive and they understand what human rights are and what equality is. And they realize that the country would not be harmonious or cohesive with that kind of divisive politics. And even if Granger or the PNC wanted to do that, I'll be speaking out tonight. Because we are a multiracial, multi-ethnic society, country. And there must be no domination of any race in the country. So they want to now talk to Harmon. Irfaan pulled his jacket the other day at a press conference and said, oh, there will be no condition. I want to meet with Harmon because we have some issues to take care of. And the main fact that Harmon will be coming to a meeting is recognition that he's the president. The guy is such a buffoon. Nobody's denying whether or not he's the president. He occupies the office. What we're saying is that he's occupying the office pursuant to fraudulent election results. And he was installed into that office which he occupies as a result of fraudulent results. So they have this infantile way of thinking and conceptualizing things. It comes from Barjack there. The chap is an infant. He thinks like that. Oh, you say something bad about me, I'm going to come back tomorrow and say something bad about you. Oh, you don't want me to tell you legitimacy, then Before they govern the country, they're in the government. Run the country. What the hell you care about whether Burke or Harmon or somebody says you're not legitimate? What the hell that has to do with you fulfilling your constitutional responsibility to the people of the country? You are in the seat of government. And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. The fact that we're saying the government is installed is a serious legal issue. It's a serious political issue. And if Ali was interested in addressing that issue from the time he was installed, he would have brought all the parties, as we say, stakeholders, together and set out an agenda for either coming up with an amicable solution, whether through the judiciary, by allowing the petitions to be heard, or by some sort of political agreement that would ensure equitable governance of the country. But they're not interested in that. They want total governance, total domination, total control of the government. To hell with what anybody else has to say. Trump. So, well, if you want to play Trump, go ahead and try to govern the country alone. No. Go and try to appoint a Judicial Service Commission. Since that the PPP want to dominate the country, let them go and appoint a Judicial Service Commission. Go and appoint a Teaching Service Commission. Go and appoint on their own. Don't follow the Constitution. Because according to Ali, the Constitution says Harmon must recognize his legitimacy before he fulfills his responsibility. Now he's saying, in this latest press conference, well, there's no requirement for me, no precondition to me fulfilling my responsibility to consult with the opposition. You know that. They have reached their roadblock. They cannot appoint anybody without following the Constitution. So we're saying this. You're going to have no consultation. And I know some of them PPP guys said, I'm saying, well, who Burke think he is? He up there talking about no consultation and no meeting must. Yes, we're part of the country. We're Guyanese. And the PPP can't deny us our Guyanese citizenship. We have a say in how our country must be run, ungoverned, how our country must be governed, correction. So whether you like it or not, put it in your pipe and smoke it. That CJID and Rickford Burke got to say, because we're Guyanese. Well, some of us on CJID are Guyanese. We have done Guyanese on CJID. But CJID is a Caribbean organization. But I am Guyanese, and I speak on behalf of the Guyanese in CJID and beyond. So those of you who see somebody make a comment there, put it in your pipe and smoke it. You're not dealing with Mr. Granger here, who's a statesman and a diplomat and doesn't want to cause confusion and wants everything to happen. No. That's not we. We got a little trick of Jamaica than we. The Maroons, the tribe from Africa, we got a little bit of that than we. We would create hell for the PPP. And we intend to do it. And we have been doing it. Come good. Because no meeting, we will campaign against it. Mr. Harmon ain't going in no meeting with y'all to have no consultation for no Judicial Service Commission so that y'all can go and put Richie Passad as no chancellor We're going to campaign against it. And we're saying as a precondition, now we're giving our preconditions. As a precondition to that meeting, there must first be a meeting of the sort I just referred to, where the PPP must bring all the stakeholders together in the country and talk about how you're going to govern the country equitably. That PPP East Indians don't own Guyana, or PPP house slaves don't own Guyana alone. All of us own Guyana. Guyana belongs to all Guyanese. All, everybody. Every region, every tongue, every village, plus the diaspora. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So we're saying tonight that we will campaign against any meeting that Mr. Harmon will have with Ali to talk about Judicial Service Commission or any service commission. We would advise and we'll campaign for a meeting of the political stakeholders to talk about how the all money going to spend, to talk about justice issues and put a mechanism in place for those investigations to be conducted independently. Henry Brothers, Boston, Andrews, and the whole host of 1,400 others that were killed by PPP death squads and the Guyana Police Force. And make sure when you guys are going and write about what I said tonight, you write accurately. Because I'm saying that we will campaign against Mr. Harmon going to any consultation with the PPP to talk about Judicial Service Commission or any other service commission or any appointments without first having a meeting to discuss the equitable governance of the country. What do I mean by equitable governance? PPP persons might ask. Sure, thank you for that question. What I mean? A proper management committee to the parliament. You have a 1-seat majority. Let us go back to the Desmond Hoyt formula. You can't manage the parliament alone. Parliament is equally divided. You have 1 seat. There must be a parliament management committee like we have in other countries that decides the agenda of parliament, and parliament must be held on Wednesdays so that members can ask questions like we see in the British House. Don't you see how democracy works? And the British members of parliament question and hammer and hold to account the prime minister and his cabinet. That's democracy. But there's a special day in the law set aside for that. Questions by members. And you know what? The PPP doesn't have parliament on those days, Wednesdays. Equitable governance. Face the people's representative. Go to parliament and stop being incompetent and answer the questions of the members of parliament. So parliament, there must be a 1 month, sorry, once per month. There must be a members' day at least, or twice per month or whatever, but there must be members' day in parliament. You're controlling the country alone. Half the country didn't vote for you. You are accountable to the people. Next thing, next issue. Restore the resources to the office of the opposition leader. When the PP was in opposition, the Granger administration ensured that Barry Jackdale's office was properly equipped with the resources to do the people's work. The opposition leader is the constitutional officer of the state. Government ain't got no say in that. It's a constitutional office. It must be funded. But the PPP took away some of the resources. Put it back. It's the people's money. Fund the leaders of government. As a matter of fact, the government should be funding the offices of every member of parliament because they're doing the people's work. And so if you're doing the people's work, the state must pay for that. We had a conference up here with members of parliament who talk about it, who said they have to put their hands in their pockets to serve their constituents. Nonsense. Fund the members of parliament, even if you have to do it through the leader of the, because we know government ministers and government MPs are funded. Fund the offices for all the members of parliament. In 65, each member of parliament should have an office in their constituency. The constituency. Every one of them is assigned a constituency. Every member of parliament is assigned a constituency. Fund an office. That's the people's representative. You have a country where the MP don't have no office? Change that nonsense. Fund the people's representatives. And then we come down to the allocation of resources. Every time the people is in power, they starve the regions that they have not won for funds, including Region 4, the largest region in terms of economy and population. And they're starving it for funds. So Region 4 that has this large population, close to 400,000 people, right? Which is about 60% of the whole of Guyana population is a Region 4. And the people in that region paying taxes, businesses in that region paying taxes, but the PPP is taking that money and use it only for their own Region 6 or Region 3 and Region 2. Racist. That's what's racism. Institutionalized racism. Put back the resources into the region and develop the region. They're trying to now gerrymander the population. Re-engineer the population. Bringing their East Indian supporters from Region 3 and Region 6 and put them to settle through house lots and land allocation in Region 4. That's what they're doing. Because they want to gain control of Region 4. Never. If the people of Region 4 make the PPP win Region 4 at any time, all of them need to just move out to Guyana. So they're going to have to be an agreement or something on how monies are allocated to the regions and towns and municipalities and localities. People don't own Guyana. People don't own the people's resources. People don't own the treasury. This is the people's money. Develop the people's communities. And then we're going to have some mechanism for disclosures about the oil monies, contracts, sovereign wealth fund. Imagine we don't even know what's going on with the sovereign wealth fund. We don't know how much money is going into it. There's no transparency, there's no website, there's nothing. The commission to govern the oil industry has not been established. We don't know anything about the bids that are being submitted and awarded, contracts awarded. That must be done through a commission, an independent commission, a commission that has equal amount of people from civil society, government, and the opposition. And then you see every state board, half and half. Or Equal amount from the government, equal amount from private sector, equal amount from the opposition with an independent chairman or a consensus chairman. Every single government board and committee in the ministries, advisory committees, regulatory bodies, whatever, straight down the middle, half and half. That's how the population is. And you see land distribution and land allocation, equitable. Equitable. We want a disclosure of contractors who have gotten contracts under this government. We want to have an investigation into the banking industry, an analysis by race and village and tongue and region about how loans are given out. We want to have an analysis of how land has been allocated. Name, village, tongue, region. Let's have an analysis. And the international community must have to enforce this. We got to move this country towards equitable governance. PPP and their East Indian supporters don't own the country. And they could get on this live and get tomorrow and web and curse me and do whatever. They don't own the country. I want to send that message loud and clear. PPP and their supporters don't own Guyana. So there must be equitable governance because that's how the country is divided. Straight down the middle. And if the PPP can tell me and try to make a case that Guyana doesn't need equitable governance, then we need to shut the whole country down. We got to shut the whole place down. Bring government to a halt. And yeah, bring the PPP government to a halt. Bring them to their knees. Bring them to their knees. Tear them down. Tear down every ounce of racism until there's equitable governance in the country. And then we got to deal with the justice issues, some other issues, but those are the main ones. And then we got to deal with the justice issues. You kill, or in Boston, and you just ignore the family and ignore the community and ignore the rule of law that says you must be held to account and that there must be an investigation and the people have a right to know. That's enough to shut the country down too. That's enough to bring the PPP government to their knees too. We saw what happened in America. We saw years of callousness and disrespect for Black people in this country, where the police would treat us like animals and dogs and shoot us and kill us, and nobody's held to account. That changed with George Floyd. Police officers are going to jail left, right, and center now. We want to see justice in Guyana. We want to see justice in Guyana. You don't kill out Black people and take it for granted and just dismiss us. No investigation. Or you go and bring some man with probably some mental challenges to admit that he committed the crime, goes to court, and then it's dismissed and everything is over. That's enough to bring the PPP government to their knees. You have Prem Prasad, shot and killed allegedly. Kevin Andrews. And they're so arrogant that they can't even give an explanation to the family. We want justice for everybody, Black, white, Indian, Portuguese, Amerindian, everybody, equal justice on the law. Who the France these people think they are? They could just shoot this woman's son or shoot Black people children. And they don't think they have to give an account? Is it a sheep or a dog? You can't even kill your neighbor's sheep. You got to give an account. And they slaughter these people's children, slaughter these black young men. And Robertson Ben and Ali and Jagdeo don't think that they have a legal obligation to hold people accountable for these killings. That's enough to shut the country down. That's enough to bring the PPP government to their knees. That's enough to tear the PPP government down and hold these police officers accountable. That's part of the discussion. Before we could come and talk about commissions, equal justice, end of racism. There must be a reckoning for racial injustice. And then there must be a proper mechanism to track and deal with corruption. And by the way, coming back to Narayan, I heard that he owns a pharmacy. We're doing some investigations on him. Because nobody must kill people and get away with it. Nobody. Nobody must kill people and get away with it. And I saw how the police officers at Grove Police Station behaved at the funeral and at the subsequent protests calling for justice for Kevin Andrews. Mocking the family. The police officers in Minnesota wish they had a chance to stand. They had to run and leave the precinct in Minnesota during the George Floyd protests. And that precinct no longer stands. That's people's justice. So at least the Grove police officers had an opportunity to stand up and mock. In Minnesota, they had to run. Just wanted to draw that comparison. The era of injustice must be over. The era of ethnic dominance and racist PPP Indian supremacy must be over. PPP doesn't have the title to Guyana. So we are saying to Mr. Harmon and the coalition, we will launch a campaign, no damn consultation, until we address these issues that we're talking about. Fix Georgetown. Give the municipality its resources to keep the city clean. These ministers aren't even ashamed. The president is not even ashamed of himself to be driving through a city that looks so dirty within a year because they want to spite the mayor. Fix these issues. And let me address the people of Guyana before I go into coronavirus. Wake up. Nobody is coming in on a white horse in shining armor to save you. Nobody is coming to Guyana to fight your battles for you. Nobody from the international community will come in and invade Guyana and grab Irfaan and throw him in jail. It's not happening. You have to do it for yourself. You have to stand up and fight against corruption. You have to stand up and take to the streets and demonstrate and block the streets and go to government offices and shut it down to make sure there's equal justice, to end racial injustice. You have to take to the streets and go out there and make sure that your community is funded and demonstrate against God. That's your constitutional right. That's what democracy is all about. That's what citizens' activism is all about. Yes, we in the diaspora can help. Yes, persons in the international community can help. But how would people in the international community know what's going on in Guyana? If you sit at your house and say, well, that's the Boston's problem, not mine. That's the Andrews family problem, not mine. That's Burke's problem. No, because tomorrow it might be you. I'm sure nobody placed a warning on the door of Mr. Boston and his family, warning him that he would be killed that night. Nobody placed a notice on the door of the Andrews family, warning them that he will be killed that night. Nobody placed a notice on the doors of all those black people that were arrested with fraudulent charges to tell them that will happen. And as part of the negotiation as well, drop all of these bogus charges against these black people. From Slow to Lawrence to Bond to London to Ben to Lawrence to Mingo to Lowenfield to Roxanne Myers to all the other people from GCOM. Drop this nonsense charges and stop misusing the police force to go after your enemies, perceived enemies or political opponents, and all the other police officers that you have charged. Comply with the Constitution. Enhance political culture. Don't engender its decay. Enhance an effective political society. Don't engender its decay. This is CGID's position on consultation. Get thee behind me, Satan, with your consultation. It ain't happening. Let us talk about equitable governance. Let us talk about racial injustice. Let us fix the funding issues in the country. Let us see equity in the allocation of contracts and the distribution of land. Stop going after people's homes that they bought legitimately. Stop targeting the overseas Guyanese who brought Gaisuko lands and property. Stop trying to take away the lands from BK Singh, BK Tiwari, and Sivon's. Well, now Sivon's issue has allegedly been solved. Karkir and the others whose lands, including the land in Barbados, and all of those people who bought lands for housing under the Ministry of Health that they're now trying to take away. What? People in the country, give back the people their lands. Stop harassing black people. And then come talking when you want consultation. No damn consultation until you fix these issues. These are governance issues. Governance issues, fix them. And another thing, you're not moving no chancellor from nowhere. Put that in a pipe and smoke it. Or else there'll be hell in Guyana. We will do it. We will push the people to create hell in Guyana if you try to move this black chancellor and put Richie Prasad there. We will invoke hell in the country. CGID is saying that. And you could go and write whoever you want because justice is on the line. Fairness is on the line. People's freedom is on the line. Put it in your pipe and smoke it. Let me move on to coronavirus. Guyanese who were vaccinated with the Sputnik vaccine are in a dilemma. Some were forced to get this vaccine. Now the vaccine is not being recognized by international. I want to finish in the next 5 minutes. The vaccine is not recognized by the international community. And people have to travel. Ali is saying no, that the government is not prepared to revaccinate people. Well, then what the hell are people going to do? And why are these people silent? People have to be revaccinated because your vaccine that you have is not recognized by the international community. It may or may not be effective. I see some reports that its efficacy is about 89, 90%. But the Russians have not presented their research work and their tests for scrutiny by their peers, by other scientists. So there's no verification of whatever they say. So it cannot be approved. So for the people in Guyana who need to travel, make noise, force the government to solve this issue by accessing vaccines that are approved by the international organizations, such as regulatory bodies, the World Health Organization, the FDA, European Union Drug Administration, and the others, Canadians and others. The Chinese vaccines were approved by the WHO. Government doesn't have the luxury to sit down and fold their hand. Well, we don't know what to do. We are waiting on scientific advice. Go after the advice. Talk with the CDC. Send the team to the CDC. Come up with a solution. You don't tell people, but we'll have to wait on the experts. People have to travel. People have business to conduct. People have their businesses to run. People have medical conditions to come to get treatment for. Who you all give that junk nonsense to? Create a solution. The CDC has already said that these people could be revaccinated. Are you talking about there's no vaccine available to what nonsense? Unacceptable. Find it. That's what government is for. Find it. Don't tell the people, but you can't be vaccinated, revaccinated. People have to travel. People have their job to do. People have responsibilities. Urgent matters to take care of. That is a responsibility of the government. Find the vaccine. Guyana is an oil-producing country. Millions of dollars are available in the New York Reserve Bank, Federal Reserve Bank. Use it for the benefit of the people of the country. Not to go and build Pradoville 2 and Pradoville 1 and buy 95 government vehicles at $30-something million each, like what the government is doing. But you're telling the people that you can't find vaccines. Look, find the vaccine and vaccinate the people. Guyanese, you guys stop accepting this mediocre, disrespectful, contemptuous level of governance. These people work for you. They work for you, Guyanese. These are not rulers or imperialists. Government is there to provide a service to the people. Not to say no, not to say it's not. Find the service. That's the responsibility of the government. Find the service. So I just wanted to, it's now 8:30. I just wanted to discuss these issues with you guys now. It's very important. Very important. So I hope that those who are listening and who will listen to the rebroadcast or listen to the video would be educated, would be motivated and inspired to become active, to challenge the status quo in Guyana. I'm tired of it. We can't be protesting forever. We got to solve the issue of governance in Guyana. Because you see what's going on? They're going to Saudi Arabia and all these places and UAE and these places to get people that look like them to come to take the resources out of Guyana. So black people own Guyana too. Amerindians own Guyana too. East Indians who don't support the PPP own Guyana too. People of mixed race who don't support Guyana in PPP own Guyana too. We all need a seat at the table when it comes to the development of our country, when it comes to the resources of our country, when it comes to the governance of the country. Every Guyanese has a stake in it. Claim it. Claim it. Good night. This has been the broadcast for tonight. Thank you very much. Join me Tuesday night for another. And by the way, before I close, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just got a new YouTube channel. Go and look for it, Rickford Burke on YouTube. Subscribe to it. Click the bell button there on both Facebook pages. All 4 Facebook pages. We broadcast it across 4 Facebook pages. Click the bell button so you can get notification when we've gone live, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Have a good night, everybody. Stay safe. Enjoy your new week.